Welcome back. I did not think I'd be here again doing National League South weekly predictions, but we are here, we are back, it's week one, let's do it. So yes, today there is going to be a very slight change in format on how we do these. In short, if I want to get these up, I can't promise them every single week, but I'll try my best. But if I want to get them up, time is of the essence and I wanted to cut down on the editing. So what I've done, as you can see, hopefully on screen right now, is we have got the snipping tool. And with the snipping tool, it's clever because you get a screenshot of all the fixtures and then we can write our scores as we go along and go through the games. So even if you quickly want to just click on my video, skip to the end of the video and see all my score predictions, you can do just that. But without further ado, we don't need any previous results, any top goal scorers, anything like that, because in short, it is game week one. There is no need for any of that. It's a new season, new squads, etc, etc. So today, it won't hopefully be too long of a video because there's no previous results to go back on. So we'll start getting through this because, I'm very excited to see how game week one goes, especially with the new arrivals from above and below. So we're starting off with a pretty good game in my opinion. Bath City, who again this year are going to be a very good side. I believe at the time of recording this video, just today, they have completed the signing of Alex Fisher. They've lost a couple of very good players. Obviously, Richard Chin didn't stay. Cody Cook's gone to Taunton. They've managed to keep a good part of the squad as well, and I do expect them to be up and around the playoffs. But an away day at Bournewood, newly put in this league from the National League, had a really poor season. I don't think too many people actually expected them to get relegated last year. I do think they have a very good squad and I really do think they'll be up their season. And I think for Bath to go away to Bournewood and get anything first day of season is going to be really, really tough. I'm going to call this a really, really narrow 2. Oh my God. I've got some getting used to with this. We're going to go Bournewood 2. Bath City 1. Do expect there to be a few goals. But yeah, I expect it to be it could be the opposite. It could be Bournemouth 5-0 for all I know. But I am expecting this type of game to be a very narrow one. Moving on, we've got Chippenham Town taking on Farnborough. Chippenham haven't had the most productive transfer window as of yet. Of course, as I go through, I am guilty of missing things. It is really hard to keep up with the lack of coverage on National League South with signings, incomings, outgoings, etc. But obviously losing one of their best players in Fassamade, they've managed to keep some very good players, of course, especially the likes of Kane Bradbury and a few others. But at home, they a good side. They're a mid-table side. But if you watch my predictions the other day, I did say that I think Farnborough will be extremely strong this season. Again, it'd be interesting to see if they pick up their away form because home form has always been impeccable. Away form has usually been where they've dropped form. But Farnborough with the signings of Richard Chin and I've completely forgotten that, but their transfer window has been pretty impeccable. It really has. They have lost a couple of very good players as well, but Farnborough will have an excellent season, I'm sure of it. But first game of the season to go away, I wouldn't be surprised if Farnborough are quite happy to take a point. So therefore, I'm going for one of my favourite results, and I'm going Chippenham 1, Farnborough 1. A low scoring start to the season for both of them. Take a point home to get the ball rolling. So after that, we have Eastbourne taking on new boys in the league at Chesham United. Chesham have made some really shrewd signings, some really clever signings with, National League experience. You've got Eastbourne on the other hand who have just gone signing mad. George Alexander, Alfie Pavey, etc, etc. They did also finish the back end of last season really strong as well. Kept Musa Diarra, a few other players have come on board. I think they're going to have a really, really good season. I also think Chesham are going to have a good season. Not quite playoff pushing, but just sort of around or just below mid-table. But Eastbourne at home, first day of season, I expect them to be up for it. They've got goal scorers, so I'm actually going to go for a pretty high scoring game here. I'm going to go for Eastbourne 3, Chesham 1. But the only thing I would say is whenever the new boys come in the league, and this will apply to the rest of them, that excitement and motivation and adrenaline can go either way. It can go really badly, or they can just go and pull out a shock result. But for the sake of this video, I'm going Eastbourne 3, Chesham 1. After that, we've got Hampton and Richmond taking on Hornchurch. Now, Hampton and Richmond, obviously, lots and lots of difficulties. Massive change in squad. So I'm not going to touch on the transfers too much because there just is so many of them. Lots of players from lower leagues. They're taking on Hornchurch, champions of the Isthmian League last year. A side I'm expecting to do really well. If you haven't watched my predictions, please do go watch it. But the only spoiler I will say is that I do think Hornchurch will be the best of the 4 newly promoted sides. That's just a personal opinion, but we will soon see. Hampton and Richmond will be good at home, but I could see this just being one of those high-scoring, narrow games. So for that reason, I am going to go for Hampton and Richmond 2, Hornchurch 2. Then we have Hemel and Hempstead Town versus Solsbury. Salisbury, obviously one of the new boys of the league from the Southern Prem. They won via the playoffs. They're taking on Hemel Hempstead Town. Hemel, without a doubt, a bit like Eastbourne earlier, they should massively improve this year. I'm not expecting them to be in the playoffs or even 1 or 2 out of it. I think they'll have a mid-table finish, to be honest, but I expect massive improvement from them this season, especially with the amount of signings and the amount of good signings they've made, to be completely honest. Salisbury, on the other hand, they were the team that got Chippenham's Fasten made. A couple of new lads from Gosport, a couple of other lads have signed from the sort of, I think, Southern Prem. I do think they are going to have a pretty tough time navigating the league this year. I'd like to see them well because they are local to me, doing well because they're local to me, but I have to be completely honest here. I think Hemel will do it, especially being at home first game of the season, and therefore I'm actually going to go for a 1-0, all 3 points to Hemel and Hempstead. After that, midway through, we have Slough Town taking on Chelmsford City. Both of these teams ended their season really disappointingly. Slough were really on a good push for playoffs. Didn't quite happen. Had a pretty bad end of season. Disappointing is a bit harsh from them because I definitely think they overachieved last season. Be great to see them do well again. Lots and lots of outgoings of key players this year. They've kept a couple of really good players that I really like the look of. Matty Lench, Ogbonna, but obviously the likes of Minas, a couple others have left the club. So how they're going to get on this season, I'm really not too sure yet. Chelmsford, on the other hand, again, lots of new players in, quite a few key players out. Defensively, always very solid. This is one of those, again, where I want to go for a 1-1 draw, but I'm actually going to back the away side for, I think, the first time this video for a Chelmsford City 1-0 win. That's just because whenever they've got sort of rough, they're always likely to get goals, but at the same time, they're so good defensively. They're just so solid defensively. So 1-0, opening their season, they'd be a fantastic start away at Slough for Chelmsford. Moving on, St Albans Maidstone, what a game that is. I think that is, for me, one of the games of the opening days. 2 sides I always expect to be up there in the playoffs. Maidstone even more so this year. I expect them not be in the playoffs. I expect them to be going for the title. So St Albans, they're always good. They're always solid. They're always good at home. Sometimes they're a bit guilty of starting the season a bit slower than they should. Hopefully they'll have plenty of key players available first day of season. This one, again, really tough to call, and I mean really tough. So this one I am bottling a 1-1 draw. Maidstone, I really do expect big things from them this year, but everyone can afford a result or 2 on the first day of season as they, bed in new players, etc. And I don't think ever going away to St Albans and getting a draw is the worst result. After that, we have Tonbridge Angels versus Weymouth. Weymouth are the only side that I'm watching pre-season. Obviously, I do take into account pre-season doesn't always mean the most. But when I did watch them, like I said in my predictions, I do think the thing with Weymouth, if they've gone for quite a young squad, I think they really are lacking a goal scorer personally, but we'll soon see. To go away to Tonbridge, who had a pretty good end of the season, I've made a couple of nice signings. No one too crazy. No one that I'd say is like a wow signing, but really strengthened up the squad. I think they'll be a sort of mid-table candidate again this season. I'd be surprised if they get near playoffs, to be completely honest. But Weymouth, I could see down there nearer the bottom this year, unfortunately for them. So for that reason, I'm going to go back Tonbridge. I'm going to go Tonbridge to go 2 up, Weymouth to get a late consolation, Tonbridge 2, Weymouth 1. After that, we've got Torquay United taking on new boys of the league, Enfield Town. Torquay will be right up for this. A plethora of fantastic signings. We've already spoke about a couple of them. They have kept a good amount of the squad. They have made some fantastic signings. New owners, new managers. They are going to be right up for this. I expect them to, really, turn up on Saturday. I really do. They are playing Enfield, one of the sides, again, that I really do think will struggle. I don't think they'll keep up with the likes of Chesham or Hornchurch. That's just a personal opinion. I could be wrong. I don't think signings for Enfield have been overly fantastic at the time of recording this video, of course. But, first day of season, new owners, loads of new great players, new manager. It's only going one way for me. I'm actually going to back Torquay to win 3-1. Be nice to see Enfield get that goal. First time back up in the National League South. A bit of me could have gone 3-0. Incredibly harsh. I'd love to see them at least get their goal on the opening day of season for the travelling fans. Then we have Truro City. They have to take on one of my league title favourites in Dorking Wanderers. Considering I think these two teams will be at completely opposite end of the tables this year, this will be a really telling first game of the season. Dorking Wanderers made some unbelievable signings. Reece Murphy's coming from Yeovil. If they keep him fit, what a signing, what an addition to the squad. Reece Norville-Williams from Farnborough, fantastic signing. Truro, from the time I recorded this video, I know there's been a couple of signings. Most notably, I think the one that I knew was Dan Leverkusen from Taunton, the keeper. After Troy's first team keeper for the last few years, left the club this summer. So even though they're at home, first game back at the home ground, what a buzz that must be for them. I think anyway, I could have, hopefully I'm right. But I think it's just going to be a bit too tough for Troy, but I think they'll make it incredibly difficult. They do know how to find a goal or two against anyone in the league. But this one, again, for me, narrow. But I think Dorking will just have that bit more experience to see it out. Then we've got our last two. We've got Welling United versus Aveley. Welling, we don't need to go into too much detail. We all know how good they were at the back end of last season. They looked done, dusted, buried, but with sort of 10-15 games to go, they pulled a rabbit out of the hat under the new manager, and they were, simply fantastic. They're coming up against Aveley, who obviously had a fantastic first season, were absolutely magnificent, definitely did much better than I think most people thought they were going to do. Couple of good signings, have lost so many is an exaggeration, but certainly a few really key players. The most notable being Odalusi, the striker, who every time I watched him, especially when I even watched the National League TV game against Dartford, he was just brilliant. He really was absolutely brilliant. But when United at home, taking on Aveley, I don't expect Aveley to be as good as they were last year, if being completely honest. I think this will be a very narrow one, but at the same time, quite a high goal scoring one. So I'm going to go Welling United 2, Aveley 2. So last, and I think definitely one of those games where I'm excited to see how these two teams, take this game on almost. I know it sounds really silly, but Weston-super-Mare, I think they've got better this year, and Worthing, I'm not overly sure how they're going to do because of how many key players, the likes of Felix and of course Ollie Pearce. Heartbreaking for Weymouth fans, losing a player like that. That is extremely hard to replace. But it is what it is. But Weston-super-Mare this year, I expect to step up a gear. Worthing, I expect to still possibly make the playoffs, but just step down a gear. Weston-super-Mare at home as well. This is the one game my mind was just going win, draw, loss. I don't know. I really don't know how this one could go. But a bit of me was wanting to not say I just don't want to go for a draw again. So I am going exciting here. If I was to go to a game this weekend, if I wasn't going to Dartford, this is the game I would have attended, to be completely honest. I'm going Weston-super-Mare 2, Worthing 3. I really think it's going to be a cracker. Could be a 0-0, who knows? But I think that'll be a fantastic game. Worthing will do really well. They're a great footballing side. Whether they've lost key players or not, they've recruited pretty well. They've kept Cashman, Donnellan, a couple other players. They'll do really well. But Weston-super-Mare, some of their recruitment this summer has been fantastic with Chamberlain, Coulson, etc., etc. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed the new format. Hopefully no one hates it because, you know, sorry, it does save me a lot of editing. I promise. Don't have to do all the additions mid-video. Can just sort of put this on next to my face and let it play nicely. And if I make mistakes throughout the video, so be it. So be it. So there you go. There's all 12 results predicted for the National League South opening weekend. I can't wait to see how they pan out. As I say, I will not be attending the National League South game. I will be attending Dartford's first game in the Isthmian League. Oh, makes me want to cry, but there you go. Hopefully we'll be bouncing straight back up, and our match against Cray Valley Paper Mills will be a massive telling pointer if we're going to do that or not. So there you go. Hope you did enjoy. As always, please like, subscribe, do that good stuff, and until the next one, I'll see all you lovely people around. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.